guys, and welcome to what might be the biggest Tops episode I'll ever make. Because, this is not just any Tops episode. No, this is a Retops episode. But this is not just any Retops episode. This is the Retops for my favorite Pokemon of all time. Well, as of the Indigo Disc, I guess. However, this is not just that either. No, this is not just a normal top 5 or top 10 like last time. Oh, no. This is a top 100. So yeah, for Retops 100, I am doing my 100 favorite Pokemon. Before doing this, I made like a tier list for every generation. Like, which generation do I like the most? Either like the highest tier, the second highest tier, that sort of thing. So the 100 slot is currently only Pokemon that's on the 3rd tier on my list. However, I might move up to the 2nd tier. I don't know. So here we go. I'm gonna bring a brief description of 100 to 20, and then the 19 that are left are going to be ones I'm gonna give a big mention to, like normal Toss episode. All right, here we go. The 100 top favorite Pokemon for Tops 100 or Retops 100. Here we go. Togekiss. Like, I do remember liking Togekiss like a lot because I feel like a really good looking Pokemon. I still remember making a mono Togekiss team for PBR. I think like Togekiss actually just a really perfect end for Togepi. Nuzleaf. Nuzleaf looks like a Pikmin. Toxtricity looks pretty sick. I think like the design for both forms actually. For both forms, I feel like the Antfor a little bit more, but I think that both have a really cool motif. The typing's pretty cool. The GX pretty nice, but I'm just gonna put like base Toxtricity for both of them. I think it's pretty cool. Toxapex. I think Toxapex has like a really not cool design, but like a really cool like defensive Pokemon with a historically really good defensive type in Water Poison. So and kind of glad I keep seeing actually always been like pretty decent, pretty good competitively. Not so much now, but I think it's actually pretty dang good. So I do like Toxapex. But anyway, Toxapex isn't inspired by it, isn't it? I think it is. I don't know. I don't care. Flapple, I just said about Hydrapple earlier. Flapple is my favorite of the Applin evolutions. I don't know, I can't really explain why. Like, I just really like the fact that it flies with like having an apple thing and just flies with it. I just find it kind of cool. I do think it does look incomplete. I think Flapple and Appletun could use another evolution just because like Hydrapple did, and why not the other two? But I think Flapple on its own looks pretty cool, in my personal opinion. Would you believe that Pidgey was actually used to be one of my favorite Pokemon of all time? But however, you know, nowadays with 9 generations in, I think that like Pidgey is, while still a Pokemon I still have fond memories of, I don't think it's that high up anymore. Speaking of, Squirtle is actually a really cool looking Pokemon. I do like the Squirtle line, like out of like all the Gen 1 evolution. I really like the Squirtle line more. Granted, there's certain Pokemon that you already know I like a lot more. But the Squirtle line itself is pretty cool. So the base form is actually part of the reason why the base form Squirtle looks pretty decent. Surfetch has a freaking lance. I don't know, like the whole Surfetch being like more of a night thing. It looks pretty cool. So if you remember like when Surfetch got revealed, like the way it got revealed is actually pretty sick. I do like that. Bayleaf has nothing to do with Ash's Bayleaf, but it has a little bit something to do. I just think like Bayleaf's pretty cute. Maybe just kind of a me thing, or maybe just like you remember when every time I play Johto, I almost always pick Chikorita, and Bayleaf's usually a good chunk of it, the playthrough. Now, Lorenz is supposed to be a little bit higher on this list. However, I decided to put it down a few slots because I have more of a recent restructuring of the list. But the restructuring wasn't that much. But I do like Lorenz. I just haven't got too much of a chance to actually use it compared to a certain other grass type from Alola. Dragapult looks pretty sick. I do think Dragapult looks pretty sick. I don't really get a chance to use Dragapult. I think Dragapult is a really cool Pokemon. I like it shiny. It's not too much of a difference, but the yellow parts of it like really make that much of a difference. Chien-Pao, speaking of good-looking shinies, like I think Chien-Pao actually does look pretty sleek. As like the type is kind of like Weavile, but arguably better. Probably actually is better. I don't know. But and the shiny is pretty good too, but it's unattainable. Oh well. Leavanny, another like good grass type of design I really like. I mean, maybe just really like those like semi-feminine and then semi-animalistic, in this case, insectoid designs. Like, too bad like Leavanny is pretty bad, but like I do like the design and I like the the lore of Leavanny about the whole like taking care of its little children, making them clothes and stuff. It's kind of cute. Gardevoir actually was I think at one point was actually a really, really good Pokemon, like, competitively. But again, I don't care competitive anymore, but I do think that, oh, it'd be randomly immune to ghost types for some reason. I think the reason's more Japanesey reason, but I think Garganacl has a pretty cool, kind of like a Minecraft mob, but, like, I do think that, like, Garganacl is a pretty cool Pokemon. You know, I never got to use it for the end game. Victini, I'm so sad that Shiny is not available still, but I think Victini being the, you know, the victory Pokemon, it's actually one of my favorite fire types of all time, believe it or not. I didn't make it because it's cute, apple looking, the rabbit looking, wing little thing, psychic type is my favorite type. I don't know, there's like all sorts of things coalesce to really like Victini. Willow's a really cute Pokemon. I do like a Shiny a lot. And I just feel like, especially considering like Hop and Wooloo, I think like the two together is pretty cool, pretty good. I actually really like the whole dynamic, especially with like that little anime shorted with like Hop and Wooloo. I think that's pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of cute, Jagmo-o. I think Jagmo-o's pretty cute. It's kind of weird, the whole like heart scale-y thing. Not exactly a heart scale, but like a heart scale on its head, and when it's shiny, the scale is pink. I just feel like the pink heart on a Pokemon that's really not meant to be for cuteness actually is even more cute, I guess. I do like his cry too. It's pretty small and kind of thing. Serperior, my preferred unit starter. I don't know. I just really like Serperior like more, but because like I think Samurot's pretty cool, but like Emboar, not everybody's favorite, and like many Pokemon's least favorite, but like I think Serperior is actually pretty good, even more so with like Contrary and Leaf Storm and that sort of nonsense. I've heard it's actually really good with Stella Terra-type. Interesting. I heard it's actually Stella Terra-type itself is pretty bad, but like apparently Serperior because Contrary works with it. How about that? Believe it or not, I didn't think that Sneasler was any feminine looking, like or humanoid looking. When I saw Sneasler, I think, oh, it's just Sneasler but taller. Like I didn't really put together that, oh, it's more humanoid. Like I never got that. I don't know, like other people like it. Oh, it just looks like this mean lady or something. But I didn't really see it. I just really like Sneasler. Too bad it's not Ice Poison type, but what it does have is actually pretty sick. I don't know. It's just a neat personal me thing. While Chikorita is actually really low on this list, I do think that Chikorita is one of the most important Pokemon in my life. Because, I don't know, I always claim that like Chikorita is probably one of the Pokemon that if that didn't exist, I wouldn't still be a Pokemon fan to this day. Because when I played a Gold and Silver demo on a Toys R Us that's no longer there, the first Pokemon I saw was Chikorita. And I don't know why, something clicked in me, in little old me that time that just really wanted to like Chikorita so much. And that's kind of why it's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, because it just, it's more of a memory unlock kind of thing. Wooper, I mean, come on, who doesn't like Wooper? It's got to get more of a who doesn't like Wooper. Enough said. Natu, a more of a recent Pokemon I really like. Again, typically not too big on does just short, round borbs like Rowlet is, and Rowlet's not on this list. But Natu actually does fit very well. Then again, because of the psychic type, I don't know. But I just do come up with a recent thing why I really like Natu. Baxcalibur is, I don't know, I just feel like Baxcalibur is pretty cool. I've heard it's actually really good now. Ice type SOOOO, cool. I really do like the fact that we got an Ice type SOOOO. Even again, it's more Dragon Ice SOOOO. But then again, Kyurem, so. Piplup, definitely a Pokemon that I just really like. I just really like Piplup, and then the progression from Piplup to Empoleon. And you will see Empoleon on this list. But I think like Piplup being a stepping stone, be a cute little penguin thing, and then Empoleon being, well, I'm going to talk about that point later. Pretty cute. Quilava, definitely one of my other favorite fire types of all time. I just feel like the cry is pretty good, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know about the anime, but the point is, like, Quilava actually is I feel like cool, sleek looking Pokemon, definitely play as a pet or something. Pretty cute. Passimia, I just think is really cool. I just think it's a really cool looking Pokemon, just in general. Like, I know on the surface it's kind of another random fighting type Pokemon, but I just feel like this random fighting type Pokemon, I just like the design of it. It's pretty cool. Whole like rugby with a weird melon thing. It's just pretty cool. Speaking of cool, Raboot, considering that the rest of the Galastars are kind of mid, and then their Cinderace is like heavily sexualized for some reason. I just do like rabbits in general. I feel like Raboot is kind of a good middle ground between Scorbunny just kind of a little too energetic, whatever, and then Cinderace being basically not a Pokemon. It was more like some sort of furry soccer protagonist of an anime. Brad just a really good like transition between the two. Like, it's so different, but also so cool. Arctibex, I said something about Excalibur. I think Arctibex has the better design than Excalibur, but that's just my personal opinion. It's just kind of a me thing. Whatever. Kilowattrel, again, I talked about this earlier, that Kilowattrel, I would not expect Kilowattrel to be a Pokemon that would be on my favorite list, let alone like on the 72 slot. But I think they were a really like reliable Pokemon. Like something like I needed a Pokemon that Kilowattrel just so happened to fill, and I just really liked it because of that. Colossal, I don't know, can't explain why. Just like I looked into Colossal a long time ago. Talking about Twit longer, man, Colossal. I made so many different opinions about Colossal. Like, oh great, it's a rock fire type. It's gonna be terrible. But wait a minute, it had a steam engine like ability. Huh, that's pretty cool. It wasn't until way later people mentioned, hey, wait a minute, why is it not like a train or something? And I was thinking, oh great, maybe it could have been a train, it'd be cool. But I don't know, I just feel like the whole general Rhydon looking aesthetic might actually work for Colossal. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. Darth Watt, sometimes call it in one of my old videos. I just feel like the Duat has like really cool like double scalp chop thing, and you can use it like for dual wielding stuff. I still feel like Duat would be a good addition to Pokken, like having this like dual wielding swords and being small, maybe agile like Yoda is, but with by dual wielding. I feel like it's a pretty cool Pokemon, like if you want to see in motion. Unfortunately, Vaporeon is number 69th on this list, and that is completely coincidental. I do not view Vaporeon that way. It's just the happenstance of this list putting Vaporeon on that number. Now, Vaporeon, it used to be one of my favorite Pokemon because like it's a very reliable water type and it's pretty cute. I mean, why are people gonna do some crazy nonsense to Pokemon that don't generally deserve it? Like, yeah, it's cute and all. Like, I like the cute little like fishtail sort of thing. But like, Vaporeon isn't waking me a fetish of mermaids. Something else did, like a Mermaid Abysslin did. But like, it's like I really do like Vaporeon, but not just because of it being number 69 on this list. All right, so moving on to Umbreon, number 68 in this one. It's my favorite evolution. I think I said about Vaporeon being reliable. Umbreon's even more so. Like, Umbreon's definitely a lot more reliable. And like, I still remember beating Thornton for the first and last time using Umbreon, and it was awesome. Like, I really did not want to even touch the Battle Factory ever again, and Umbreon got me through it, so good on you, man. Also didn't help that I play Coliseum next to you. Both had an Umbreon. Aggron, man, like, I do think I'm not sure how good, quote-unquote, Aggron is, but I feel like it fits along with the really cool monster design. Like, it's a rock monster, but with, like, helmets, spiky helmets, and all sorts of metal parts all over it. That's a really cool design. Like, and its Mega Evolution 2 is a really cool design. I just feel like it's a cool design. Like, I don't use it that much, but, like, I do think Aggron is a really cool Pokemon in general. Ludicolo, insert Mirror B theme, enough said. Blastoise is a Pokemon that I do think that, in general, has like a really perfect design. I'm super glad that Scarlet and Violet upped up Blastoise even more to be a cool Pokemon. So kudos to Scarlet to the Indigo Desk for like making Blastoise super cool, like more than it already is. Now, would you believe that Growlithe at one point was my favorite Pokemon of all time? I mean, yes, so you have like Pokemon like Pidgey and I freaking love for Ivysaur. Comes around that same time, I guess, but like Growlithe, like I want both favorite Pokemon because it's the cute fire dog. Unfortunately, it was Red exclusive, but then I think I also had a Red at the time because bro had it. And you're gonna see like one step forward. Let's talk about it right now. Arcanine is definitely one of the most reliable Pokemon I have. Like one of the Pokemon I tend to use. Like there's sometimes there was a point in time where I tend to use Arcanine a lot in playthroughs. Because I feel like Arcanine is a very reliable Pokemon. In that, I feel like you can do a lot with Arcanine. Even in Cuphead, apparently, you can do a lot with Arcanine. That's pretty sick. And we're not going to leave that evolution line because next up is Growlithe Hisui, which I believe it or not, like I think Hisuian Growlithe just has like an edge literally on its head over base Growlithe, because I just feel like not only is the fact that it's slightly different, but like in a slightly cooler way, but also it being rock type actually helps it. So it's kind of like what I talk about Colossal, like, oh great, it's fire rock type, it's gonna be super weak to water. But like Growlithe Hisuian, we're gonna maybe talk about later with Arcanine Hisui, that it's pretty dang cool. I do think it's a pretty cool Pokemon. So that's what I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a pretty cool Pokemon. Apparently, Arcanine Hisui is not on this list. I thought it was. Oh well. Let's moving on. Gothorita, mostly because like I think Gothita was kind of weird, and Gothita at one point was kind of scaring me a little bit, mostly because like one anime episode is kind of scary. I don't know. And then it got Gothorita just kind of that cute little middle ground. It's kind of the opposite of the Ralts line for me, in that I really like Ralts and I really like Gardevoir and Gallade, but Curlia not so much compared to the others. Gothorita, on the other hand, in its evolution line, I really like it more than its baby in its final form. Oh look, so got another similar line. We got Hatcham, mostly because of the same reasons, but same reasons as Gardevoir actually, and yes, like the rest of its lines actually in here. But I do think like Hatcham is kind of an odd case. Like Hatena is super dang cute. I'll talk about it in a second, and bringing like Hatterene is actually I don't know. I really like Hatterene from like. I can't really explain why, I just really like Hatterene. But we're going to see Hatterene soon enough. Anyway, but the middle form, Hatcham, is kind of weird, not going to lie. Unlike, you know, Hatena, who is... I just feel like Hatena is pretty cute. Kind of looks like a Sleep Kirby. Maybe just like a weird Sleep Kirby thing. I think Hatena is actually kind of cute. And just like kind of small, weird hat thing. I feel like it's pretty cute. Brionne, yeah, believe it or not, like I do really like Brionne. Even though I was like actually kind of hyped up that the Popplio line like went from like universally hated when it's released compared to Rowlet and Litten, and like its final form, like people still kind of don't like Primarina as much as Incineroar and Decidueye, but I do feel like the final evolutions are actually all pretty solid, and I think all of the middle forms are all pretty solid, but I like Brionne's a lot more. Wartortle, yeah, I do like Wartortle more than Squirtle and Blastoise, mostly because of the tail. And that's what I heard, that there was a beta design that Squirtle and Wartortle weren't supposed to evolve to Blastoise, and Blastoise was meant to be on a completely different evolution line. But they decided to scrap the original idea for the final starter and put Blastoise in. It makes me wonder, like, I wonder what would happen if like the original design of the final evolution not just, you know, went into the game, let's do a ROM hack, I know it exists now, but like still continued on in 3D and like HD to this day. I wonder if I would like that a lot more than Blastoise. Now, Soccer is a Pokemon that I really do think it's kind of reliable. I still remember like it can beat up Mega Rayquaza in one hit, no problem, with Ice Punch, and like having the sturdy ability like really does help it against Mega Rayquaza. I think that Sock, like, aside from its appearance, I do think Sokka is a very reliable Pokemon, actually, with like sturdy and very powerful attacking moves, that it deserves to be in this list. Now, Frostlass, I do think, well, first of all, it's an Ice type. I really do like Ice types, and definitely one of my favorite Ice types overall is definitely Frostlass. Not just because, like, oh, it's, you know, feminine looking, but not just because of that, but because, like, you could do quite a bit with Frostlass you don't really expect, because believe it or not, its attack and special attack are the exact same. Meaning you could pull off stuff like Ice Shards, and maybe do, like, a physical moveset for Frostlass. It wouldn't be as weird, and it wouldn't be as good, maybe, a special attack, because, like, there's a lot more good special attacks for Frostlass than physical, but you get the idea that Frostlass can work a lot of ways. So, I feel like Frostlass is very, versatile. Hey, it's Smugleaf! Yeah, for those who remember, like, the Gen 5 pre-release era, where people are calling Snivy Smugleaf before its English name was revealed. I do like that. I still remember calling a Snivy Smugleaf, and I just feel like, and Snivy was part of the reason why I got some early success on YouTube, because of the whole Pikmix posters thing that had Snivy in it. Now, Butterfree was a Pokemon that I still remember using way back when. One of my earlier playthroughs had Butterfree in it. And I still put Butterfree, like, really close to my heart, I guess, when it comes to Gen 1 Pokemon in general. So kind of those Pokemon that I really don't want to not play Gen 1 without it, but sometimes I do. But like Butterfree's definitely a Pokemon that's kind of nostalgic to me, like more than the others. Plus, I used to own a Butterfree plush. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But like it's definitely a more nostalgic Pokemon for me. Now, Spheal and we'll talk about Satotl the next slot. They're both pretty like just another round ice type Pokemon. So I kind of like them for similar reasons, really. So for Spheal's case, like most of Spheal's case gets earlier, and plus like it's like part of Legends Arceus. I don't know, I feel like that one scene where we talk to Adamant, and then there's randomly Spheal showing up that's scripted to show up. I actually feel like Spheal is a very cute Pokemon. I like his pride quite a lot. Its evolution is kind of out there, sure, but like base Spheal actually really cool. It really like plays into how the ball and how like its evolution, like to play with like, you know, Spheal like it's like a beach ball or something. It's pretty cool. And so Toddle's case, it's like a really big, cute, round Pokemon. So, having now used Satitan on the Indigo Disc team, probably gonna talk about that when I make a video about it. That, yeah, really Satitan's a very, very cool Pokemon. So I think like Satitan not just like a cute Pokemon because it's big and round, but also a really cool Pokemon for what it can do. Now, Ribombee, again, another small Pokemon. Now, I do really like the fact it's a Bug Fairy type, because I remember making a video one time of unused types that I want to see, and Bug Fairy was on top of it, and Ribombee became of it. However, I was kind of afraid that, oh, looks like it's a middle form or something. But no, it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty decent. It's ridiculously fast, considering Alola Pokemon tend to be pretty slow, but Ribombee is actually not just really fast, pretty useful for what it does. Pollen Puff, like, it used to be a signature move, but like Pollen Puff became like a more useful move like in general later on. So pretty neat. So I did mention that Glimmora was a really base choice for the champion to have as an ace. Now, I still have not at the time of this video, I still have not faced Gita as a rematch, but I did think like Glimmora is a really good design, like how it's supposed to be this floating flower thing. It's actually kind of a poison rock type. How it's tied to Area 0, but like not tied too much that, you know, it overtakes like the Paradoxes and Terapagos. But it's definitely like a very important Pokemon tied to Terastallization. I think it's a pretty good lore Pokemon, but doesn't really say anything about how much lore important it is. Now, I said before about like I'm not like Kirlia as much as the rest of its line, but here it is now. So, do like the fact that, I don't know, like the Kirlia's cute little, like, you know, dancer, like, aesthetic. And really hold the trying to be more of a dancer. And I think that's kind of, like, the original point of the Ralts line, because the Ralts' name rhymes with Waltz, which is a line. And then Kirlia is more like a ballerina of sorts. I think that was the kind of original intention before going to Gardevoir, but I don't know, can't really say. But yeah, pretty cool. I like Kirlia is pretty cool. Like Aegislash is absolutely cool, because I think Aegislash is a really cool Pokemon. It's literally a sword. Like, I like swords, and this guy's literally a sword Pokemon. So I think it's pretty sick. Like, in general, just being a sword Pokemon, but not just that, it's insane. Like, insanely good, too. Like, how actually powerful it is. I mean, it's a sword, but, like, it's kind of crazy to see how powerful it actually is. Now, Primarina, I want to say it's my favorite Final Form starter. But it's not, because there's other Final Form starters there. But like when it comes to the line itself, between like it and the rest of its line, I definitely do like the Popplio line a lot. And I definitely do think Primarina is definitely a payoff of me liking Popplio before, like, more than the other two Alola starters. So I do think that Primarina is a really good Pokemon. Definitely love it. Now, Sneasel Hisui, even though, yes, as I mentioned, like, oh, Sneasel just look, oh, just bigger Sneasel. But I just definitely like the design of Hisui and Sneasel as it is. I just feel like it doesn't really need an evolution like Sneasler. Like, if it evolved to sort of like a Hisuian Weavile or something, I do think that it would probably work well, but Sneasel is fine. But Sneasel is, I do think the design of it is really cool. I like the design of Hisuian Sneasel, kind of like regular Sneasel. Like, I do like the design of regular Sneasel quite a lot, but I do like the Hisuian Sneasel, like, just that much more. Now, Azumarill is a Pokemon that I definitely think one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, because it's actually really useful, and even more useful with huge power, and also it being fairy type. Like Gen 6 Plus really did Azumarill a lot of favors. Like, if this was still a list of pre-Gen 6, I might still put Azumarill like on the list, maybe not as high as it is now, because I used to own a Pokemon card with Zoomer in it, and for some reason passed me because designated as my favorite Pokemon card. I still don't know why. I don't know. So remember what I just said about me liking his Sneasel just a lot more? I still like base Sneasel just a lot more. But then again, like, it's kind of helped the fact that, like, oh, kind of like the color scheme's pretty good. I love it shiny. I do love his Sneasel's really pink shiny. Unfortunately, it's slightly muted more as the generation go by, even more so, like with Weavile. But I think I definitely do love the shiny Sneasel's like pink shiny. Kind of glad that Sneasel's regular colors are more like black and brown. Maybe brown and light blue would have been a really good shiny for Sneasel, but like I really do like Sneasel. But again, it's mostly because of its shiny, but that's just kind of me. Now, Diancie is definitely a Pokemon that I want to like a lot more. I really do want to like it a lot more, but the thing is, like, there's some the things are slightly off about not liking it more, like Diamond Storm being a physical move, not special. That could have been more useful. Oh well, but I think that Diancie has a really good design. I think the Mega is a pretty good design. I think everything about it is just really good design, so just that, like, I don't see why I would want it more. Now here comes the base form of my favorite line, Ralts. I think Ralts kind of reminds me of, like, oh, that weird bold cut kind of reminds me of before from Kids Next Door. That's kind of my initial, like, reasons why I used to like Ralts. Kind of still does apply now, but like it's kind of funny that, like, you get Gardevoir, it was like one of the most feminine looking Pokemon of all time. And you got Curly, is also very feminine looking. But you got Ralts, who's very not that. Ralts definitely looks like just some sort of young boy with, like, young British boy with one, like, weird bowl cut and some horns. Like, I can't always imagine Ralts as a boy, Curly is a girl, Gardevoir was a girl, and Galade is a boy. I mean, Galade being a boy is kind of necessary because it's 100% male, but you get the idea. Like, how interesting how it incorporates the fact that they're kind of, like, you can't really tell its gender by itself because, like, Ralts just still looks a bit more masculine as a boy and turns a little bit more feminine as it goes, but, like, you still be a male. That's pretty cool. Now, Skitty's really only here because of my Mega Ruby run. That's it. Like if you ask me before, like, me playing Mega Ruby, whether or not, like, Skitty, I would say, oh, I think it's cute, but, like, and moon-shaped, I guess, but, like, it's kind of alright, but, like, me soloing Mega Ruby Skitty puts it way high up on the list and means it makes like a lot more. Now, I did say before on my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon list that I like Tinkaton just a bit more because I feel like I attached myself more into Tinkaton than Tinkaton. But I decided to retract that now and put Tinkaton here and Tinkaton on the next slot on this list. Because the Tinkaton memes that make me like Tinkaton a lot more than Tinkaton now. But Tinkaton is also still a really good design. I definitely, you know, I have a little bit more attachment to Tinkaton in the game. Or Tinkaton, just the memes just kind of, like, skyrocketed it more to, like, just a little bit more than Tinkaton is. Now, Stadium won the Balance Suite line, and definitely, like, it's a pretty nice, again, the nice middle ground between the just very cute round Balance Suite. Don't worry, we'll talk about Balance Suite, and then Sarina, which is, like, way, way higher on the list. But, like, I think the Steenee is actually also a really cute Pokemon. It's like, they're pretty cute. If you're wondering about the Sun and Moon anime, I've not watched it at all, so I'm not going to bother with it. Now, Delphox. Okay, the Delphox is definitely a Pokemon, like, again, most people don't really like. I kind of understand why people don't like it. Its design is kind of not right. It just looks off. Just slightly off the design. Like, if you think you want to be a fox wizard, like, maybe you could probably incorporate a lot more different things. So just, you know, doing that is kind of off. Especially because they're coming out of Brexton, which is actually, you know, definitely better designed Pokémon tournament. But, like, it's a psychic type, so I have to like it. So, yeah, it just being a psychic type, it's like, it being psychic type is part of the reason why I like Delphox here. That's all I'm going to say here. Now, Goomy, definitely one of my favorite Gen 6 Pokemon, mostly because, again, it's not just around, but I remember, like, a long time when Gen 6 was still new, Goomy was, like, a meme of sorts. Like, people liking Goomy is kind of like a meme. The Church of Goomy, if I remember it right. Goomy is actually, like, a very, very cute Pokemon. Like his cry, his shiny's alright. And just kind of goofy. It just looks pretty goofy. I just like this little cute little smile. It's pretty good. Speaking of round and cute, here comes Bounsweet. I mentioned it before with Steenee. Like, the Bounsweet is a very cute Pokemon. I don't know. I can't really explain why. I just really do like balance week. Just because it's being cute. Unfortunately, it keeps me hunted down because it thinks people like like it for food, but it's kind of sad. But like I really do like balance week as it is. I'd never take care of one. Alolan Vulpix. I mean, do I need to say more? Alolan Vulpix is adorable. Like, it is very adorable. I do like so much of the design of it, and it's an ice type of all things. It's pretty interesting. Like Alolan Vulpix being adorable, it goes without saying. Speaking of like Pokemon in frosty areas, here comes Hisui and Zora. Like, I think Hisui and Zora, more so it's shiny, like does elevate it to be like an adorable Pokemon. Like, people like might be questioning, like, why do people abandon it? This looks adorable. Like, yeah, it's also the fact that good type, normal ghost, cool, but it's shiny is just that much elevated. Like, more than like, I guess when Hisui and Zora, its quality itself, it's shiny. It's just that perfect. Like, if I were to remake my favorite shiny Pokemon list, Hisui and Zora will be up there, definitely. Now, Aurorus, unfortunately, it being Ice Rock type, it's kind of a bummer. But maybe if, like, we have to worry about rock typing anymore, maybe retype Aurorus to Ice something else. I don't know. I just really do like Aurorus. I just remember using Aurorus in battles. I think it's pretty okay, but unfortunately, it's double two important types, unfortunately. But what are you gonna do? It's a Pokemon you like, but you just can't help the fact that it sucks. Now, Braixen, yeah, it's so weird that, like, you get a Pokemon like Braixen who gets into a Pokemon tournament before and not its evolution. This feels kind of off. But then again, like, nowadays, I do think if I were to do the same thing, I would definitely put Duon in there. Like, Braixen has that weird magical girl thing going on in Pokemon Tournament. And while I do like Braixen, nowadays, I still remember not liking as much. I just feel like, oh, it's another biped fire starter. Oh, wow, it's another not surprised thing. But I grew to like it, so here we go. Now, Snom is a Pokemon that, again, just like many of the Pokemon on this list, it's a cute Ice-type Pokemon. I don't know, I can't really explain why I love Snom. Maybe the name is too perfect. Maybe it's just a cute little pill bug thing. Or maybe just how slow it moves. Like, it barely moves. Like, and how small it is. Just how adorable it is. I just feel like Snom is an overall super cute Pokemon. Crobat is a Pokemon, like, kind of like Arcanine, that's very, very reliable. I think it's a very reliable Pokemon for me. And I do think that, Crobat, Crobat being, like, super useful kind of helps out along the way, being a very, very popular Pokemon in my book. Would you believe that Crobat's type still hasn't replicated yet? Like, we got a new Pokemon with Gengar's type, but to this day, we have yet to have a Pokemon with the same type as the Zubat line. Isn't that kind of weird? Breloom is definitely a more useful Pokemon, definitely for the people who want to shiny hunt, want to, collect Pokemon. I don't think I've ever used Breloom for that purpose. I don't remember using Breloom for that purpose. I used Gallade for that purpose more often than not. Heck, I used the Heracross one more often than not for that, when I in like Ultramoon. But like Breloom is just a very useful Pokemon in general because, like, again, it has Spore, it has like Parting Mach Punch, it has some really powerful fighting type moves. It surprisingly has a very high attack, even though you wouldn't expect it to have a high attack coming out of Shroomish. But like, Big Breloom's a really good design, really good like qualities, very useful in general. Not just because it has Spore, but like I do think Breloom's a very reliable Pokemon to have as well. Now, speaking of another reliable Pokemon, Scizor, like, you would think that a bug type would just not be a good type, apparently, but paired up with the best type of Pokemon, Steel, and suddenly, like, you're just unstoppable. It's kind of crazy. Like, I still remember it being the king of Gen 5 OU at the time. And it was like, oh, Scizor, the king of OU. Pretty sick. But, like, yeah, I do think Scizor is a really, very powerful Pokemon. Like, I think I remember one time making, like, a special Scizor. Like, I don't think I've done much with it, but, like, I still remember trying, like, your theory crafting, just kind of for the lulz, I guess. But it's pretty funny. Now, Lopunny is on this list. Like, again, you would think that, oh, there's a lot of feminine Pokemon on this list so far. There's going to be a lot more feminine Pokemon later on the list. It's probably for unethical reasons, Batman. But I don't know. I think Lopunny is a pretty cool Pokemon, but like for a long time, like, oh, I kind of get why it's so hypersexualized again. People think that, oh, it's just a horny Pokemon. But I kind of over time, not too much time apparently, over time I kind of understood like that it's not that the fluff, it's part of its chest, it's just part of its arms, and it just looks like it had a tear-shaped body. And from right there, I'm like, okay, whatever. I like Lopunny, but like I think I'm out of the whole, oh, it looks horny thing. Plus, like, the whole me being horny with Pokemon thing didn't really exist since, like, Gen 7, so whatever. Now, here goes a Pokemon that's undeniably cool, and that is Ceruledge. Like, Ceruledge is, like, peak cool. Like when I say Pokemon, I really do like swords. Here comes a Pokemon that's dual-wielding swords, like, as part of its, you know, part of its design. It's pretty sick. Unfortunately, Shiny sucks, like, badly. But, yeah, Ceruledge being Fire Ghost does invalidate my starter at the time, which is Skeledirge. But I really do like Ceruledge's name. Like, Ceruledge is pretty cool, like, name like Cerulean Edge sort of thing. And it being Violet exclusive, which just happens to be the version I'm picking anyway. And it's swords. It's sick. I do like it. It's sick. Now, unfortunately for some people, Clodsire is next, because you might be wondering, oh, why is Clodsire number 23 in your list and not way higher? Well, that kind of goes to show the quality of the Pokemon way higher in this list. So, as much as I think Clodsire is a really cool Pokemon, not just because it shares Nidoking's type, but also it shares, like, the general vibe cuteness of, like, of Quagsire and the Wooper line, and the Woopers, so to say. But, like, it being part of the Wooper line already makes it adorable. It's very cute, and it has weird spines on its back people wouldn't expect to have. And, like, it's pretty cool. I do like Clodsire. It's just that I like a lot of other Pokemon more. Now, speaking of Nidoking, because his base form, Nidoran Male, dude, it's not just because, oh, I kind of, like, ran through the Elite Four of Let's Go with a Nidoran Male, that's it. But, like, I always liked Nidoran Male. Even since the beginning, I really liked Nidoran Male. And over time, it became more and more and more one of my favorite Pokemon. Nidoking even more so. You'll see later. But, like, I think Nidoran Male is the kind of, like, one of the Pokemon that I have more nostalgia for. I feel like I can't beat a game without it. Like, or maybe not that, but, like, I think that Nidoran Male specifically is just a cute Pokemon that I would really like to have, even though it's, you know, spiky everywhere. And, you know, anything gets even better when it evolves. Speaking of getting better when it evolves, Ninetales Alola, oh my goodness, like, there has never been, like, almost never been a powerful buff to Ice Pokemon than this absolute beauty right here. When it comes to, like, generally Pokemon I really like, I do like Pokemon that emphasize beauty and majesty, or really cool, like, more majestic. And Ninetales Alola is 100% it, 110% it. And I'm wondering why is that not in my top 20. Like, just barely got out of my top 20. Again, that goes to show the quality of the top 20. So, yeah, especially I really want to put Alola Ninetales in the top 20. It can't beat Weavile, which is definitely a Pokemon that I really do like in general. I definitely do like it. It's so useful. It's so useful when, you know, in Sinnoh playthroughs against, you know, Cynthia. Or it's definitely useful in general as, like, being just a more hit and run kind of Pokemon. So definitely, like, do like Weavile. It's a really good Pokemon. Just barely on the top tier of my favorite Pokemon of all time, but it did barely get to the top 20. Alright, so now that we've just passed through the 81 Pokemon that are left, now it's time to do the top 19, which is my first tier, my number one, top tier of all Pokemon of all time, or at least up until, you know, right on Indigo Disc. Up to now, no Pokemon has gone this freaking high, but we'll see with Generation 10, or even, like, if there's going to be a new Pokemon game within Gen 9 that's going to have a new favorite Pokemon. We'll see, and there might be a Gardevoir, like, a regional variant soon. I don't know. But for right now, here are my 19 favorite Pokemon of all time. Here we go. #19, Scrafty. Now, I think, even though, yes, I do really like Weavile, I think Scrafty, just in general, pretty cool. Like, just cooler in general. Like, it's kind of hard to explain why. Maybe because, like, it has certain battle qualities that makes me really like Scrafty a bit more than Weavile. But, like, I just do like its general vibe a bit more than Weavile. At least the shiny isn't ruined by, you know, the passage of time. 18, Galarian Ponyta. I think Galarian Ponyta, man, I feel like when it was announced, like, oh, it's super dang adorable. Like, I never really liked Ponyta. I think Ponyta was kind of mid, like, in general. But, like, the Galarian version, well, didn't help the fact that it's a psychic type, and it being psychic type automatically elevates it to a pretty high spot. But also the design is actually really dang good. Just so you know, Rapidash Galar is not on this list, as you can probably tell, because I feel like Galarian Ponyta downgrades a lot when it evolves. Like when I thought, oh, it's probably gonna evolve into a unicorn or an alicorn, whatever Malapony stands call it. It would have been way better, but no, it's just another Rapidash. It's just a big horse with long, straight hair. Kind of lame. But like, I think it's like big, weird, poofy hair all over the place. And like the horn's pretty cute. I just feel like Galarian Ponyta is super dang cute. Unfortunately, it's ruined by its evolution. Now, speaking of more Galarian Pokemon, comes Hatterene. Now, again, for similar reasons, it being Psychic type does help a lot. But also, like, oh, it's Psychic Fairy type. Gee, I wonder there's not Psychic Fairy type Pokemon on this list. Anyway, that I just feel like Hatterene has like all the different vibes. So, like, the thing is with Hatterene is that I guess it has lore-wise a lot interesting with vibes. Like, it really hates like big vibes. It wants to smack people. Like, for those who show a lot of emotion or something, and it feels kind of weird, but like interesting, like lore for a Pokemon. Like you want to like hug Hatterene for the small queen that she is, but like no, she's gonna smack you for it. It's kind of funny. Lilligant, another more majestic looking Pokemon that I really like. And yes, there are other grass type Pokemon that would replace Lilligant on the list. However, because I'm extending the list, Lilligant can still exist as like a Pokemon that I really like, because I just like the design of it. It's not just feminine, but also kind of majestic, kind of cute, cute grass type Pokemon. Also, I actually used it in battle on my first Gen 5 team pick Dream. And it was pretty useful with that, like, you know, having to do Petal Dance with own tempo. Like, you don't have to worry about getting confused with Petal Dance. Pretty neat. Now, speaking of more grass-type Pokemon, here comes Maractus, another more recent favorite. Even though I've always really liked Maractus for whatever reason, it's more like the more it's passed through time. I really liked Maractus more and more until kind of a boiling point where I feel like, you know what? No, Maractus is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. One of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon of all time. Is it my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon of all time? Right now, I think it's actually my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon of all time, even though it originally wasn't, like, by a lot. But suddenly, like, we're passing the time because of being my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon of all time. That's saying a lot, because I really like Gen 5. It didn't really help that when Bro played Black and he had Maractus on his team and he kept it for the rest of the playthrough. I was so glad. But I think like Maractus has a really good, again, very good vibes. Kind of like Ludicolo, so to say. Like Ludicolo has like vibes with Mirror B. I can imagine Maractus and Mirror B. Like how kind of, you know, very happy vibes with the shake stuff, you know. And I feel like as Maractus, really good vibes. Frostmoth, my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon. I did think Frostmoth, yes, it's terrible, but it looks really good. Like, I love the design of it. Like, Ice Bug is a terrible type, I get it. But like Frostmoth like takes that type and just makes it good. Like just design-wise, it makes it look good. Also, for those who remember the time where I faced against a Blaziken player and then the Blaziken player disconnected while I had Frostmoth at 8 HP? That was hilarious, not gonna lie. Empoleon. So Empoleon, like, first of all, it's a water steel type, and because of that, it has the most resistances of any starter. It just so happens that it's weak to ground, and happens to be weak to fighting. Not that really matters for a general playthrough of Gen 4 because the only Pokemon, the only Torterra you're gonna face at all is berries. so you don't even have to worry about having to worry about it. And plus you probably have like sort of ice move anyway. So I feel like Empoleon's a really good starter, like in general, a really good starter, really helpful, pretty resist basically everything, like and in general, it's very reliable. Flygon. Flygon definitely more a reliable Pokemon. One thing was in my original top 10, however, other Pokemon kind of like, taking its place. But I think that Flygon's a very, I wouldn't say nostalgic Pokemon because I started with Gen 1. But definitely one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Just like the design of it, its timing's pretty good, the way the moves it can use is pretty good. Like its cry is pretty good. I do like overall, a Flygon is more of a all-around favorite. I think this Flygon is just kind of like made in a way to be a favorite, I guess. Number 11, Amora. I do think still that Amora is one of the cutest Pokemon of all time. And I still stand by it. Like, compared to all your Pokemon, I think Amora is the cutest Pokemon between it and the rest of the list. So I guess Amora kind of gets here by cuteness alone. But also, if I had to work quite a lot to get an Amora with Snow Warning the first time it was available, I have to like it. So, I do think the design is pretty good. Like, if it has an Ice type, yes, it sucks because its Ice Rock type is terrible as well. But then again, if I like Frostmon despite having a terrible type, I could like Amora despite having a terrible type. So, there you go. Amora wins here by cuteness alone, more basically. Number 10, this might surprise you, but Blaziken used to be like my number, 3 or 4 favorite Pokemon of all time. However, it's more of a recent development, thinking, look, wait, do I really like Blaziken now? Yes, I still really love Blaziken. It's one of my favorite starters of all time. They're one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. And it's one of my favorite Fire-type Pokemon of all time. But do I like it more than number 9 on this list? No, apparently not. Strange. But not strange when you consider what it is. But Blaziken is still always a reliable Pokemon. I still really like Blaziken. I probably would only play Hone with Blaziken. But I do think that Blaziken, even though I like it a lot of Pokemon introduced later have putting it down to what it is in 10 slot. So, even though it cracked the top 10 list, it's safely on the top 10 slot. It may be possible in the future for it to get out of the top 10 slot. But for right now, let's move on to my absolute favorite Fire-type Pokemon. Salazar. Yeah, she's here. Now, if you're wondering, I said before about, I don't get horny for Pokemon, since, Gen 7, there's a reason. Anyway, I do think, Salazar is, the absolute perfect Pokemon design. I feel like Salazar is the perfect Pokemon design. First of all, it has, this weird ability, you can poison steel types. Even though it's kind of a bad ability on Salazar, why have a more defensive ability, or more of a, Saboteur-like ability on Pokemon that's more offensive? Weird. But, definitely Salazar is way up there. Definitely a lot more up there than Blaziken, because Salazar, believe it or not, was my first intentional shiny hunt. Even though I had other shiny Pokemon before, and of course I could just hack some shiny Pokemon if I wanted to, but the first time she wanted intentionally to shiny hunt something, anything at all, it was Salazar. So I have a great story with Salazar. I said this before in my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon list, so go watch that for the explanation of why Salazar is a very special Pokemon for me. But I do think Salazar is a very special Pokemon for me specifically. Not just because of Horny Bait, but also because of the shiny hunt that I had of it. And I just really love its shiny so much. So that it needed to be done. So let's move on out. Number 8, so when I said with Lilligant, other Pokemon I like more, just kind of bring it down kind of with Blaziken. I really like the Hisuian form for Lilligant more. But again, it's similar to a different Pokemon that's a little bit higher on this list. So, for especially for Lilligant. So, initially, I like Lilligant as my favorite, one of my favorite grass-type Pokemon aside from Uno. But, and then the next Pokemon next grass Pokemon I'm gonna mention, I ended up liking a lot more. And then came a Pokemon that I know I like, is also Lilligant, which is the Hisuian for Lilligant, which is very similar to the Pokemon that's going to be a little bit later I'm going to mention. But I do think that Lilligant, Hisui, has like also another perfect design for a more majestic grass type that just kind of puts it over the edge of Lilligant. It's just also kind of cool that it's went from a special attacker primarily to a physical attacker primarily, and then it has a victory dance thing. I think it's really cool. I never got to use a Hisuian Lilligant. I might want to in like the future if Game Freak will let me use Hisuian Lilligant in the future for some reason. I might like it more than the next Pokemon next grass Pokemon I'm gonna mention. But for right now, I think Hisuian Lilligant is very more majestic looking, and I think it's a good design and different qualities and makes you like it more than base Lilligant. Nidoking, this is what they call a nostalgic Pokemon, more than anything else. Even more than the other general Pokemon on this list. Like, it's very nostalgic to me. Like, it's one of my nostalgic favorite Pokemon of all time. Nidoking has like the perfect design to be more of a monstrous Pokemon. That's also very cool. So when it comes to more monstrous looking Pokemon, Nidoking is my favorite. Everything else is just there to be majestic beauties. But like, oh, and then the Nike store. But like, I think it has like more like monster looking designs, things like, yep, this is a Pokemon. When you think of this is a Pokemon, for me, Nidoking is it. Like, you're more than Pikachu, you're more than Eevee sort of thing. When I think of, oh, this is a Pokemon, for me, I think of Nidoking first. So, and when I think of Pokemon that, oh, I've always said this is my favorite, Nidoking is it. When I can think of, like, talk about favorite Pokemon, talk about Pokemon in general, Nidoking is the first thing on my mind. Even more than Gardevoir, just believe it or not. But, like, for me, this is definitely a more nostalgic Pokemon favorite. Number 6, I talk about this a lot with, Hisuian Lilligant, but here it is, it's Sarina. Now, Sarina is definitely a Pokemon that, yes, it has, like, really good nostalgic, and not nostalgic, it's very good beauty, and it's majestic, heck, it's even on the building name. But, do you think, like, Sarina just has that femdom, like, mentality, that femdom aesthetic. I don't know why I like that aesthetic, I just like the aesthetic. It really doesn't help the fact that I like the rest of its line a lot more than Lilligant. Like, I think Lilligant, the other two Lilligants are really good looking Pokemon. But Petalil itself is kind of okay, kind of mid. But, like, when it comes to Sarina, its entire line is my favorite. Like, when it comes to entire lines, the Bounce Sweet line in general is definitely among my favorite full lines of Pokemon of all time. Like, even compared to, again, I mentioned with, like, Kirlia earlier. Even though I do like Kirlia, but I don't like it as much as the entire Bounce Sweet line. So, it's kind of saying a lot. But for Sarina, I definitely, like, when you use it, it was pretty useful. Used it on a, I think I remember using it a bit on Piccolola, I think. But I didn't really use it that much. But I do think Sarina is a really cool Pokemon. Just full stop. Articuno! Now, I remember when I don't mention that many legendary Pokemon on the list. But was it because I do find legendary Pokemon kind of okay? I don't have to like legendary Pokemon just because they're legendary. I can feel like, oh, Grixis is one of the coolest Pokemon of all time. I do agree, Grixis is one of those coolest Pokemon of all time. That doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I have to put it in my favorites. Like, just because it's cool doesn't mean I have to like it. Just because it's the most majestic thing you ever see, maybe it doesn't necessarily mean I have to like it. But for me, even though Articuno is not a Pokemon known for being strong, it's definitely a Pokemon that I've always liked. Not just because, yes, because it's an Ice-type Pokemon, obviously, but also because, it just has a great appearance. I like the great appearance of Articuno. Bit more defensive than the other two, even though it doesn't make sense as an Ice-type, but you get the idea. Slightly more defensive Ice-type on a majestic bird, honestly, that has, like, all of the qualities that make it a favorite Pokemon. So, definitely another nostalgic favorite, so to say. Alongside Nidoking. But I just like Articuno's design stuff a lot more, even though Nidoking is more useful in general. Number 4, Ivysaur. Now, actually, it's my third favorite Pokemon of all time. However, a new third favorite Pokemon of all time showed up. Now, I did mention this on my previous Tops 100 list, but I owned a plush of Ivysaur that I've owned for as long as I can remember. And I remember playing Gen 1 when it was new, so that's saying a lot. So, like, for me, when it comes to owning Pokemon merchandise, that Ivysaur plush is the first and last thing I think about. Even though I do own others, but when I think of, like, oh, Pokemon merch of any sort, my Ivysaur plush, Queen Ivysaur, is it. Is the queen. So I'm going to say this, my Ivysaur plush is the queen of all the plushes I have here. That's kind of a thing when I was a kid. It still is now. But, and I think that because of that plush, Ivysaur became, like, over time, my favorite Pokemon of all time for the first 2 generations. And however, as the generations, passed by, all their favorite Pokemon have come. That's kind of degraded slowly but surely to where it is now on 4th. So, with that in mind, let's move on to the line, my favorite Pokemon line of all time. Before I get to favorite Pokemon of all time, let's go on to the a similar take to them. Number 3, Iron and Valiant. Now, I mentioned it recently with my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon list, that so once I played Biodiscovery streaming, like I saw things called there's a thing called Iron Valiant. It looks like a combination of Gardevoir and Gallade. Immediately I thought, okay, this better be a favorite Pokemon. This better be within my top 3 favorite Pokemon of all time. Otherwise, it'll be a massive disappointment. So I was banking on the design of it to actually put it on if it's gonna be on the list at all. Let alone 3rd. And then, however, once I saw Iron Valiant first time, I was not disappointed. It was absolutely way better than expected, kind of. Because not only does it look like Gardevoir and Gallade together, but it looks like Mega Gardevoir and Mega Gallade together. And doesn't help the fact it can detach its sword, like its little weird energy Tonfa things, into a Swallow Blade. And that's probably the coolest part. Like, I think that Iron Valiant's unique selling point for me, not just because it has swords, like sword arms, like sword Tonfa arms, but also you can detach them and make its own separate weapon. I feel like that is the coolest thing. Like, first of all, I like swords, obviously, but like, putting having a part of your person, and then you can detach them and then make your own weapon out of it. That's sick. That's absolutely sick. Like, I kind of already like the Future Paradox Pokemon, but like Iron Valiant just like absolute peak. And then every other Paradox, like, way down until you get to the bottom of my favorite Pokemon list. Until you're going to see, like, somewhere at the bottom of the list, you're going to see, like stuff like, I don't know, like Brute Bonnet or something. But, like, I just feel like Iron Valiant is a very cool Pokemon. Like, even independently of Gardevoir and Gallade, the fact they can attach its arms and then he makes his own weapon out of it, that's sick. I don't know about you, but that's sick. Speaking of sword arms and that being sick, my second favorite Pokemon of all time is Gallade. Now, I said this before many times, I'm going to say this again now, that if Gardevoir did not exist, but Gallade did, Gallade would be my favorite Pokemon of all time. If Gallade existed before Gardevoir, Gallade would be my favorite Pokemon of all time. The thing is, I like Gallade independently of Gardevoir. Because it has sword arms. Because it has the whole sword arm, he's like a gladiator. It's pretty cool. I think it's definitely the coolest Pokemon of all time. It really helps also in Gallade's case more than Gardevoir's case, in that it is one of the most useful Pokemon to catch other Pokemon with. Like, if I was care more about being a collector when I was starting out with Pokemon, I would probably like Gallade more than Gardevoir, because it has False Life, it has Hypnosis, it has like all sorts of different, other things that make Gallade a lot more useful as a Pokemon to catch other Pokemon with. And so I've been using Gallade to catch other Pokemon with, or have Gallade to shiny hunt with, for most games. I even have Gallade like as a lead in BDSP, even though I don't use it to shiny hunt. I could kind of have it there, just to have it there. So, honestly, Gallade for me is a Pokemon that would have been my favorite if it showed up before Gardevoir. But because Gardevoir is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and it always has been, and pushed on lock forever, Gallade is just stuck on number 2. Meanwhile, yeah, so Gardevoir, to no one's surprise, I said this many, many times, it's not a secret to anybody, it's my favorite Pokemon of all time. For pretty much every reason possible. Because, like, if I were to, like, you know, say, like, a short sentence of why I like Gardevoir, is that Gardevoir is the reason why I like other things related to Pokemon. For example, Gardevoir is a Psychic-type Pokemon. Like, normally, I like Ice-type Pokemon most. However, because Gardevoir is Psychic-type, I like the Psychic-type. Because, like, oh, I remember Gardevoir being, like, oh, I was initially high to Gardevoir because it's more like a defensive Alakazam. I like defensive things more. And because of defensive things more, like defense, it's this whole thing more, like guarding myself more in general. So more defensive Pokemon, more defensive in general. And not just Pokemon, other games too. When it comes to Gen 6, it's a Fairy type. Oh, Fairy type Pokemon, cool, come in Fairy type Pokemon, come into my life. And Gardevoir just being like my old reliable. Just in like in game and battle sort of thing, I just really like Pokemon battling because I don't really like. In Gen 3, like I don't really battle much in Gen 1 or 2. I don't really do that because I had no reason to, no way to. But like Gen 3, remember when net battle was a thing? Gardevoir was in net, I think. I don't remember, maybe. Or what else is in there? Like just the general aesthetic of majestic looking Pokemon. There you go. The rest of the list. Then what else is in there? Like how versatile it is, how to learn different bunch of different moves, or I don't know. Can't really explain it. Just like there's a lot of different things I like about Gardevoir in general that make Gardevoir the most. Also, one last thing on Gardevoir. Gardevoir was my first level 100 Pokemon without using any bird canes or anything. So back in Ruby version. So I just feel like a big accomplishment. And the second Pokemon that got to 100 without rare canes or anything was a Gen 6 Pokemon X-File Gardevoir. So yeah, my first 2 Pokemon that raised to level 100 without any outside sources is Gardevoir. So honestly, like, Gardevoir makes me like a lot of other things about raising the Pokemon. So I feel like Gardevoir cannot be removed from my favorite Pokemon slot ever. Like, even if an Ice-type, let's say if an Ice-type regional variant for Gardevoir became a thing, now I don't think it's possible because apparently, get this, Gardevoir does like to reside in cold places. Gee, I wonder if a person who likes ice and a person who likes Gardevoir have anything to do with each other. But even if an Ice and Psychic type, or even Ice and Fairy Gardevoir regional variant shows up, I don't think I'm gonna like it more than Gardevoir. Maybe just me. Or doesn't the fact that Mega Gardevoir is my favorite shiny. Like even outside of other good shiny Pokemon, like shiny Mega Gardevoir is my favorite shiny of all time. That's completely independent of why I like Gardevoir, but it happened to be a thing. It makes me kind of like black shinies. So here you go. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the list. Got nothing more to say because it's been over an hour and my voice is gonna die out in a second. So, and I'm going to make my top 99 least favorite Pokemon in a good minute. But for right now, see you guys later for the next Tops or Retops episode.